3, 2, 1. Good day, everyone. We are the students of College of Nursing and Health Sciences, taking the course of Bachelor of Science in Nursing, third year students, batch 2025, for the subject of GNED 1009. And we are going to talk about the concept of bayani and kabayanihan. The presenters will be Mr. Aglia Mark Lester, Miss Aguja Ruia, Miss Condes Lira, Miss Colina K, Mr. Cordero Remy, Mr. Cruz Kimpi, Miss De Castro Melody, Miss Diaz Emarlin Joy, Miss Espiritu Jennifer, Miss Fetalvero Narel, Miss Galingan Carmela, Miss Magada Sheena May, Mr. Paliano Joshua Ian, Miss Presentacion Mary Abigail, and Miss San Juan Nicole. Concept of bayani. It is a Filipino traditional sense, and it is also known as an unselfish act towards the human race. A person with extraordinary courage or bravery that ignores extreme danger and exhibits strength to overcome difficulties. Bayani is a Tagalog term from the Philippines which translates to hero in English. And this also refers to someone who shows great courage, outstanding achievements, or noble qualities. The term bayani is often used to honor individuals who have made significant contribution to their community or country, particularly those who have sacrificed their lives or well-being for the greater good. One great example will portray Mr. Jose Rizal, who played a crucial role in the country's struggle for independence from Spanish colonial rule.
So for the ideology of bayani and bayanihan. The ideology of bayani and kabayanihan came from economic and political suffering of the people. It has shifted and evolved through the years due to historical events, socio-political changes, cultural influences, media and popular culture, globalization, and changing social values. So yung bayani po kasi, it is deeply rooted to the national identity and often associated with individuals who have achieved remarkable feats. While bayanihan naman po, it is one of the communal unity. It means helping others without expecting rewards to achieve a certain goal. So no earlier days daw po, when houses were made of lighter materials such as coconut leaves, bayanihans also meant helping one's neighbor move their house literally. So nagtutulungan po sila before.
So, what is kabayanihan? Kabayanihan is a Filipino word that refers to acts of heroism, bravery, and patriotism. It embodies the spirit of selflessness, sacrifice, and service to the community or the nation. Kabayanihan is often associated with the valor and courage exhibited by Filipino heroes who fought for freedom and independence throughout the country's history. So, ano nga ba yung kabayanihan sa ating mga Pilipino? So, yung salitang kabayanihan ay ang pagpapakita ng paglilingkod o pagmamahal natin sa sariling bayan. Ang kabayanihan ay naglalahad sa pagiging isang magiting na katauhan, pagkabayani, katapangan, pagkamakabayan, pag-ibig sa bayang tinubuan, katapangang gawa, kabayanihang gawa. Ang katumbas nito sa wikang Ingles ay heroism. So, ang mga halimbawa nito ay ang sacrifices ni Rizal sa ating bansa, which is katulad na lamang ng edukasyon at karera ni Rizal. So, binitawan niya yung kanyang kaginhawaan at matagumpay na karera bilang isang doktor upang maglaan ng kanyang sarili sa pakikibaka para sa karapatan at kalayaan ng kanyang kapwa Pilipino.
So the concept of kabayanihan or heroism in English, it roots tracing back to the Greek word heros, donating a demigod, encapsulates the essence of extraordinary courage and valor demonstrated by individuals challenges as mentioned earlier. It is an act not solely defined by action itself but also by the underlying motives and selflessness that propel one to face adversity head on. The concept of heroism embodies a myriad of noble qualities, including bravery, selflessness, and unyielding determination, thereby reshaping our understanding of authentic heroism and establishing a benchmark for what it truly means to exemplify the virtues of a hero in our shared human narrative.
So next will be the historical moments of kabayanihan or bayanis of the Philippines. For first of all will be Jose Rizal, also known as Jose Protasio Rizal Mercado y Alonso Realonda, born in Calamba, Laguna, and capital is of General of the Philippine Spanish Empire in June 19, 1861. He died at December 30, 1896. Spanish expelled Philippines for the former and right Jose Rizal from 1892 to 1896 for his political novel, later arrested him and executed him for sedation. His death helped to fuel insecure insurance against the rule of 1896 to 1898. Jose Rizal's capitals and generals on the Philippines. So Jose Rizal most notable and contribution including his writings which advocate for political reformation and social change in the Philippines. His novel Noli Me Tangere, or in English we call it Touch Me and El Filibusterismo, The Range of Greed, exposed the abuse and injustice committed by the Spanish colonial government by Elegui, which is Jose Rizal contribute will enable the heart of Filipino to at least lumaban for our rights, and one of the Filipinos that he able to inspire his work is Andres Bonifacio, for examples. He later executed because it also punished him for exposing Spanish work. And one of his poem is titled Ela Juan Ventud Filipina to the Filipino youth, which state even in the young age, anyone can serve his or her country and desire to be best for it. So even though Jose Rizal did not support violence and to revolutions, he was tried and found guilty of conspiracy, seditions, and rebellion. Despite there being minimal evidence of kind, he was executed by firing squad in Manila and Philippines on December 13 and 1896 and the age of 35. So eventually, Jose Rizal was a stepping stone for those Filipino to fund for our freedoms.
Next is Andres Bonifacio. Andres Bonifacio, born November 30, 1863 in Manila, died May 10, 1897 in MT Bontis, Philippine, age 33. Founder, Katipunan, role in Philippines Revolution. Andres Bonifacio is regarded as the father of the Philippines Revolution against Spain. He is also known as the father of the Katipunan as a secret revolutionary society he founded in the 1892 and whose goal was to win Philippines independence from Spain by means of the revolution. After the Spanish arrested Rizal in July 1892, Bonifacio decided the Philippines would only achieve independence through revolution on July 7. He founded the Katipunan, a secret society open to both peasant and the middle class that employ Masonic rituals to impart the air sacred mystery.
Emilio Aguinaldo. Emilio Aguinaldo is a significant figure in Philippine history, known primarily for his role as a leader in the country's struggle for independence from Spanish colonial rule and later against American occupation. Born on March 22, 1869, in the Philippines, and he died on February 6, 1964, at the age of 94 years. Aguinaldo played a pivotal role in the Philippine Revolution against Spain. He became a prominent figure during the late 19th century, leading various revolutionary movements against Spanish colonial rule. Aguinaldo was a key organizer of the Katipunan, a secret society that aimed to overthrow Spanish rule through armed resistance. He rose to prominence during the Philippine Revolution of 1896 and was elected as the president of the First Philippine Republic in 1899. Aguinaldo's leadership was instrumental in securing the Declaration of Philippine Independence from Spain on June 12, 1898. However, this independence was short-lived as the Philippines came under American control following the Spanish-American War. Aguinaldo then led the Philippine-American War uh, starting 1899 to 1902 against the United States, fighting for Philippine sovereignty and independence. Despite his efforts, the Philippine-American War ended in defeat for the Filipino forces, and, and Aguinaldo was captured by American forces in 1901, effectively ending the conflict. He later swore allegiance to the United States and retired from public life. Aguinaldo's legacy is complex. He is revered as a hero for his role in the struggle against Spanish colonization and for his efforts to establish Philippine independence. But his collaboration with the United States following the war has been a subject of controversy and debate. Nonetheless, his contributions to the Philippines' fight for independence remain a significant part of the nation's history. His inaugural speech at Barzone Church, Malolos, Bulacan, on January 23, 1899, he said, "We are no longer insurgents, we are no longer revolutionists, that is to say, are men desirous of destroying and annihilating the enemy. We are from now on Republicans, that is to say, men of law, able to fraternize with all other nations with mutual respect and affection. There is nothing lacking, therefore, in order for us to be recognized and admitted as a free and independent nation."
Our next national hero is Apolinario Mabini, also known as Dakmi Magdikan or Dakilang Lumpo. He was born on July 23, 1864, and he was a key figure in the Philippine Revolution. Despite being paralyzed, he became the brain of the revolution and the first prime minister of the
Next is Marcelo H. Del Pilar. Marcelo H. Del Pilar was born in Kupang, San Nicolas, Bulacan on August 30, 1850. His parents were Julian H. Del Pilar and Blas Gatmaitan. As a boy, he studied first in the college owned by Mrs. Herm- Hermenegilda Flores, then at the San Jose College, from where he transferred to the University of Santo Tomas. He finished law in 1880. He grew up to be one of the greatest propagandists who sought Philippine freedom through his pen. In 1882, he became editor of the newspaper Diaryong Tagalog, which strongly criticized the way the Spaniards ran the government and treated the people. Using his pen name, Plaridel, he wrote satires against the Spanish friars, notably Dasalan at Tuksuhan, and Kaiingat Kayo. In Spanish, he took the place of Graciano Lopez Haina as editor of the La, Sola, La Solidaridad, the mouthpiece of the propagandists working for reforms for the Filipinos. But illness kept his from holding the position for a long time. Soon, tuberculosis weakened him. He died on July 4, 1896 in Barcelona, Spain, away from his family. Marcelo H. Del Pilar was a prominent figure in Philippine history, remembered for his fight for reform during the Spanish colonial period. Along with Jose Rizal and Graciano Lopez Haina, Del Pilar was a key figure in the propaganda movement, advocating for political and social reforms in the Philippines through peaceful means. He used his pen to criticize the abuses of the Spanish friars and advocate for change. He wrote under the pen name Plaridel, authoring famous sat- satirical works like Dasalan at Tuksuhan. Del Pilar actively challenged the power and influence of the friars in the Philippines. He believed they dominated the country's politics and economy provincial. While in Spain, Del Pilar took over the editorship of La Solidaridad, a newspaper that became the voice of the reform movement from Graciano Lopez Haina. Though he died in exile from illness, Marcelo H. Del Pilar's legacy lives on as a champion of Philippine reform and a key figure in the fight for independence.
Next is Sultan Dipatuan Kudarat. So he was a fearless fighter and Filipino hero in defense of Islamic faith and Philippine liberty. Kudarat died around 1650. Muhammad Diputan Kudarat was Sultan of Mindanao during the first half of the 17th century. He is a brave, wise, and benevolent. He was the greatest and strongest Mindanao Sultan that ever lived. During the late 17th century, Sultan Muhammad Dipatuan Kudarat, known as Kudarat, emerged as a prominent and influential leader in the area. So he played a crucial role in resisting Spanish coloni- colonization and defending the autonomy of his sultanate.
Next is Juan Luna. Born on October 25, 1857, Juan Luna de San Pedro y Novicio Ancheta, also known as Juan Luna, was a Filipino painter, sculptor, and a political activist of the Philippine Revolution during the late 19th century. He is considered as one of the greatest painters in Philippine history. During his time, the Philippines was wrecked by the revolution and struggles for independence from Spain. Luna's paintings illustrate literary and historical scenes that carried political commentaries. Through his works, Polarium, Juan Luna was able to highlight the hardships of the Filipino masses under the rule of the Spaniards. Spolarium portrayed defeated gladiators in the arena being dragged into a pile of other corpses. It symbolizes our social, moral, and political life. Humanity Unredeemed and Injustice, according to Jose Rizal. Luna's painting have its own relevance, goal, and connection to the people of the Philippines. It is a way of contributing to the life of the Filipino, especially the youth.
Melchora Aquino, or better known as Tandang Sora, was a Filipino revolutionary. She was also considered the mother of the Katipunan and the mother of the Philippine Revolution. Melchora Aquino, also known as Tandang Sora, was 84 years old when she became involved with the Philippine Revolution. She largely contributed to the Katipunan and was nicknamed the Mother of the Katipunan. Tandang Sora used her home to host several secretive meetings for the Katipuneros. During this time, she would cook for those who attend the meetings. She also used her home to nurse several Katipuneros who became injured after battle. Tandang Sora quietly passed away at the age of 107 on February 20, 1919, in the house of her daughter Saturnina in Banlat.
Next is Gabriela Silang, also known as Maria Josefa Gabriela Carino de Silang. She was born on March 19, 1731 in Ilocos Sur. Gabriela Silang is celebrated as a national hero in the Philippines for her role in the fight against Spanish colonial rule during the 18th century. She is renowned for her leadership, bravery, and enduring legacy in the struggle for independence. She was a Filipino military leader, best known for her role as the female leader of the Ilocano independence movement from Spain. Her husband, Diego Silang, who led a rebellion against Spanish authorities. However, after Diego Silang was died, Diego Silang, her husband, believed and fought towards the freedom of the Filipino. And this revolt was fueled by grievances originating from the Spanish movement. Gabriela joined the revolt against the Spaniards alongside Diego in 1762. However, after Diego's assassination, Gabriela vowed to avenge his death and to continue the fight. She took her husband's place as the leader of the rebellion. And Gabriela continued the revolt and led her husband's followers in several victorious encounters against the Spaniards in Santa and Vigan. She was captured and executed by the colonial government by hanging on September 20, 1763. Together with her 90 troops. And in honor of Gabriela Silang heroism, Ilocos Sur's Provincial Hospital was named the Gabriela Silang General Hospital. And one of the organization in the Philippines advocating women's issues was founded in April 1984 and named Gabriela, which means General Assembly, binding women for reforms, integrity, equality, leadership, and action. Gabriela Silang, or her heroism, is commemorated in various ways, including monuments, street names named in her honor, and annual celebrations of her life and contribution. Gabriela Silang remains an iconic figure in the Philippine history, embodying the spirit of freedom and the struggle against the oppression.
Okay, so for the relevance of these ideologies to the Filipino people in the 21st century. Bayanihan in the Philippines is a spirit of communal unity. So helping others without expecting rewards to achieve a certain goal. So this specific trait is observed earlier in even in ancient Filipino times, where the people would help each other in building houses and moving houses from place to place. So bayanihan also meant helping one's neighbor move their house literally. So this is where the word has been derived from. This type of bayanihan is less common in today's world of concrete buildings, but the concept and the spirit of bayanihan is still alive even among millennials. So this concept is very observable, especially in moments where we are in need of each other's help. So in a world that divided more than ever, the power of unity and collective effort in preserving cultural heritage shines brightly. This is where the culture of bayanihan comes into play because this is an idea that combines the richness of our culture with the spirit of the Filipino people in terms of communal unity and cooperation. So, as I've said a while ago, there are moments in the Philippines where bayanihan can be greatly observed. So, these moments are in the following scenarios. So, in times of calamities such as storms, it is evident that the Filipino people, aside from being resilient, also are very helpful and cooperative with each other because we understand that no man is an island and that we really need each other's help. Then people also come together to provide resources for those who are victims of calamities, like in the Oplan Odette, which was done during the storm of Odette, and a lot of people actually benefited from it. So the spirit of Bayanihan is very evident from this scenario as well. Then up next, we also have the the spirit of tree planting and volunteering in the Philippines to restore our environmental resources. So not only are we helping the environment, we are also able to instill the spirit and the culture of bayanihan still in our values as Filipino people. So the concept of bayanihan in the Philippines makes us Filipino unique. And despite our differences in language and in culture, we are still able to come together and to join forces. We are resilient amidst adversities because of our bayanihan, and also because for us, there will always be strength in numbers. Then we also have the modern bayanis of the Philippines. So the modern bayanis are the OFWs. So overseas Filipino workers is a term referring to the Filipino migrant workers or individuals who have left their homes to work abroad and provide comfortable lives for their family. Referring to these workers, former President Corazon Aquino coined the phrase Bagong Bayani in 1988 because the Filipino or the OFWs are very helpful not only in the boost of the Philippines economy through remittances, but they are also figures of resilience as they symbolizes hardworking people who are willing to go through lengths just to be able to provide for their family. So OFWs endure homesickness, personal sacrifices, and horrible working conditions in order to support their families back home. So to summarize the entire discussion, it is really evident that the concept of bayanis and bayanihan is still observable even up until now. And we are so grateful for our national heroes, our previous bayanis, in instilling these values to us because it is part of our identities as Filipino. And also worth mentioning that we should continue the fire in our hearts in terms of helping each other or helping our kapwa kababayans, whether here in our own country or in other countries, because we should uphold the values that our previous heroes, especially Jose Rizal, have had into our hearts so that we can pass it on to the next generation. And of course, the youth are future of our country. So we also have to pass on a great legacy unto them in the same way that our heroes passed those values into us. So with that, we would like to thank you for listening to our report, and we hope that you learned something regarding the concept of abayani and kabayanihan. Thank you so much.